Trump officials could face contempt of court for defying an order to turn around deportation flights to El Salvador.
Israel's defense minister said Israel will remain indefinitely in the Gaza Strip, Lebanon and Syria. From the Vatican to Jerusalem, Easter celebrations begin around the world.
A US federal judge has said he's found probable cause to hold the Trump administration in contempt of court for violating his order to turn around planes carrying deportees to El Salvador. Judge Boasberg said he could initiate legal proceedings if officials do not return to US custody those who were sent to the Central American country in breach of his order. The Trump administration has said it will appeal the ruling. Meanwhile, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen traveled to El Salvador on Wednesday to advocate for the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a man deported in March despite a court order blocking his removal.
I'm asking President Bukele, under his authority as president of El Salvador, to do the right thing and allow Mr. Abrego Garcia to walk out of a prison.
Van Hollen claims he was told the Salvadoran government would not return Abrego Garcia and denied his request to visit him in detention.
Polish authorities say they have retrieved 2 bodies from the Bug River on the border with Belarus. They are believed to belong to 2 men who had attempted to cross the border into Poland illegally. The Polish border guard said there has been an upward trend of attempted border crossings, with 300 attempts to cross the Polish-Belarusian border in the Lublin province this year. The Polish Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs accused Belarus of having pushed the 2 people whose bodies were found into the river, claiming it to be a tactic of provocation used by Belarus. Warsaw says Belarus lures asylum seekers to the Polish border in collaboration with Russian President Vladimir Putin to destabilize Poland. In March, Poland temporarily suspended the right of migrants arriving from Belarus to apply for asylum. Human rights groups have criticized the move, saying it would worsen an already existing humanitarian crisis at the Polish-Belarusian border.
The Israeli army will remain indefinitely in the so-called security zones it's created in the Gaza Strip, Lebanon and Syria, Defense Minister Israel Katz said on Wednesday. The decision could further complicate talks with Hamas over a potential ceasefire and the release of the remaining hostages. Israel's forces are present in more than half of Gaza after it broke the ceasefire with Hamas last month. Hamas has said it would not release the remaining hostages without a complete Israeli withdrawal from Gaza and a lasting ceasefire. Meanwhile, Israel has also refused to leave some parts of Lebanon after a ceasefire with Hezbollah late last year. In Syria, it took control of a buffer zone in the south after rebels toppled President Bashar al-Assad in December. Palestinian leaders, Lebanon and Syria all view the presence of Israeli troops as a military occupation in violation of international law.
While Islamophobia and anti-Semitism are on the rise in Europe and around the world, Sheikh Dr. Mohammed Al-Issa, the Secretary-General of the Muslim World League, called for dialogue between cultures and civilizations and warned against religious hatred. In an interview with Euronews, Dr. Al-Issa also condemned the war in Gaza, which has been raging for a year and a half following the Hamas attack on southern Israel.
What is happening in Gaza is a tragedy, and it is more like genocide, if not actually genocide. What is happening in Gaza has shaken the conscience of humanity. What is happening in Gaza has violated international and humanitarian law.
Dr. Al-Issa also warned against blaming Jews or Muslims for the armed conflicts and instability in the Middle East. He said the terrorist attacks carried out by Muslims in Europe represent only those who carried them out.
These attacks that are committed in the name of Islam, they are committed in the name of their owners. They are not in the name of Islam. They represent themselves. They represent their extremism that is isolated and excluded by our Islamic world. Our Islamic world that enjoys the values and moderation of Islam. These are a few, but the vocal phenomenon of these few is alarming.
Sheikh Alissa, who previously served as Minister of Justice in his home country Saudi Arabia, said that dialogue is the only way to reconcile peoples and cultures.
We're against any form of hatred, whatever the form of hatred. We're against hostility against followers of religions because of their religious choice. And also against any other hostility, whether it's ethnic, cultural, or whatever the form of this hostility and hatred.
The Muslim World League is an Islamic organization based in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. It defines itself as an Islamic body that promotes tolerance and friendship among peoples. And you can watch that full interview on the Europe Conversation on Thursday.
China's economy expanded at 5.4% annual pace in the first quarter of 2024, surpassing analysts' expectations. This growth was supported by strong exports, which preceded US President Donald Trump's rapid increase in tariffs on Chinese goods. Now, uncertainties loom as trade tensions escalate, but Chinese officials believe that US tariffs will not change the overriding trend of China's economic growth.
从短期来看呢，这是美国加征高额关税会对我们国家的这个外贸和经济带来一定的压力但是改变不了中国经济持续长期向好的大势。
To counter external issues and problems that arise due to sluggish domestic demand and the housing market, Beijing has rolled out further stimulus measures, including raising its budget deficit to 4% of GDP, which is the highest in 3 decades, as part of a highly proactive fiscal strategy. China also lowered its inflation target to 2% for 2024 and introduced measures to boost household incomes and consumer spending. March data revealed impressive gains across key sectors. And although Chinese stock markets struggled amid escalating US-China trade tensions, the yuan remained stable against the dollar. China appointed a new top international trade negotiator on Wednesday to be able to navigate the ongoing conflicts.
The European Commission has presented the first common list of safe countries of origin for migrants. The concept of a safe country of origin is important in processing asylum applications. Even though each request must be assessed individually, applicants from a safe country will undergo an accelerated procedure lasting no more than 3 months. This will also speed up returns to their countries of origin.
The EU list of safe countries of origin is a dynamic list. That means it can be expanded or reviewed over time. Countries can also be suspended from or removed from the list, should they no longer fulfill the criteria for being designated as a safe country of origin.
Currently, 15 countries are considered safe, all candidates for EU membership except Ukraine due to its ongoing war. Additionally, the list includes Kosovo, Bangladesh, India, Colombia, Egypt, Morocco and Tunisia. Migrants from these countries are rarely granted refugee status in the European Union. The recognition rate for international protection is equal to or below 5%. However, according to humanitarian organizations, some of these countries should not be considered safe at all.
We see countries that systematically violated the human rights, that in this moment they are passing through a democratic crackdown. They have not really access to justice. I'm thinking, for example, to countries as Egypt, but also Tunisia, but also Turkey.
The EU list will have to be approved by the European Parliament and Member States, but it does not replace national lists. Many EU countries already have their own lists of safe countries of origin, and the matter has been at the centre of several legal disputes in recent years. In several European states, courts have challenged the return of a migrant or the use of accelerated procedures, arguing that their country of origin could not be considered safe. Thousands of people gathered in the Vatican's St. Peter's Basilica to witness the opening Easter week Chrism Mass on Holy Thursday. Pope Francis, who is still recovering from pneumonia, did not participate in the ceremony. However, he is expected to make some appearances. He was replaced by Cardinal Domenico Calgagno, the retired head of the Vatican's Patrimony Office. The crowd included over 1,000 priests. Over in Jerusalem, Christian Orthodox worshippers gathered at the Holy Sepulchre on Thursday. The traditional washing of the feet ceremony marks the start of Orthodox Easter. The Holy Sepulchre is the site where Christians believe Jesus was entombed and then resurrected.